closing mode. So it's
Yeah.
almost a 20 days, right?
Yes, exactly.
There
Yes.
is not much thing which has been remaining, but there are other areas as well which we needed to explore. So something is going to happen next week as well. So stay
Okay.
tuned.
Mhm.
There is a little surprise that okay, we will be coming up with new course as well, but
Oh,
this is somehow been related to the Salesforce only, because Salesforce thing is in the market, and people
okay.
trying to learn those skills. So we will be covering other areas of the Salesforce as well, but in terms of functionalities, like non so that non-technical people can also relate.
Yeah, are you muted or?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking about like so that non-technical people can also relate, right? All right. So let's move on with our day-to-day basis. And till now, we have discussed the introductory part, and we have been now reaching to the user acceptance. And in each and every segments, we have talked about different things related to the business analyst. We have looked into user stories, requirement, BPM, discovery of a customer, how to collaborate with the stakeholders. Each and everything has been completed, and now we have been moving forward with the user acceptance. So in the collaboration, you know that we have talked about the whiteboarding, and some techniques about the trust building, relationship building, and then sales part. Then we have moved forward with the customer discovery in the theoretical models like V2MOM and the governance basics. Then we moved forward with the Salesforce journey, and even we have looked into some kind of tools like Jira Sign Now, which is a helpful tool for the project manager, for the BA, in order to monitor the process of the project. Then we have looked into the journey of a customer in terms of journey mapping, visual diagrams, and how to build those kind of diagrams, what exactly business mapping is all about. Then requirements, we have talked about the documents. There are multiple documents in order to gather the requirements from the client side. And then what are the various areas which is needed in order to make sure that the document should be useful enough for each and everyone those who are involved. So there are five key steps which we have discussed, and even we have looked into what exactly the basic idea about documenting our process. And then we have talked about the user stories in terms of customers personas, what are they and how to write them, and even what are the basic 5 steps for writing a user story. Then we looked into the acceptance criteria in order to get a basic understanding about UX, or you can say the user experience. Then we have also looked into some pillars about user experiences. Then in the previous days as well, we have talked about the design thinking, which is a basic approach which is been helpful for the BA. And we have looked into the process, how to make it as a fruitful approach in order to get a successful result. And then we have looked into the key principles of design thinking. Then also we have talked about some principles of the user experiences and evaluation of a customer system, or you can say a client system. Then we have looked into the sandbox and their environment, like if we needed to build something on the sandbox, whether the particular sandbox is being fruitful, or what are the customization needed, what are the consideration which is there in the sandbox, and what are the things which we have to take in mind. Then in the user acceptance, which is the last part, from today onwards we will be starting. This particular section is having a 8% weightage in our exam. And in this user acceptance testing, we will be looking into the few things like the difference between the user acceptance testing and QA, their steps, some terminologies related to the UAT, what are the challenges while facing this step, or facing this is phase basically, because this is the last phase of the business process mapping, or you can say a business process last phase, because after this the product has been go live. So what are the challenges is there, what are the best practices which we need to follow while we are on the UAT, and what is the purpose, each and everything we will be looking into the in terms of UAT only, and why UAT is necessary, what is the people those who are involved in the UAT, each and everything we will be covering. So starting with UAT, basically UAT comes after each and everything is being done, the last phase of the particular process, or you can say the last phase of the project, right? Because this comes after software testing is already been performed, this comes after unit testing, this comes after quality assurance, or each and everything is been done, then UAT is been comes. So UAT means like the user should accept your product, and how they can accept it, by testing. So this particular phase comes when user is been testing your product, or you can say the end user is going to test your product in this particular phase. The software is being tested, the product is being now tested, the process is being now tested by the user itself. So this is the last phase. Okay, and this being performed, basically the product is live. So now product is not live as of now, but the UAT is basically with a aim, you can say, that particular product should be useful for the real world, or the UAT should be able to handle the real world scenarios, right? So that kind of goal, that kind of aim is having in this particular phase. My whatever the bugs, whatever the issues which you are been facing, that has been done, that has been completed, that has to be fixed by this particular phase, because now particular software or particular phase, a particular product is going to be released, officially released, right? So if it is being contain any kind of bugs, that it means that your product is failed. You have to do it, you have to fix it basically. Might be you are fixing by you can say any kind of you know uh, third party help, or you are doing it in house volunteers, anything, but you have to fix those kind of bugs, because if that bugs comes in the real world, then it means that your product is failed. So make sure that in during this phase, the UAT phase, whether you are doing it with the help of some paid test software, whether you are doing with the trial version of the any kind of software, whether you are using in-house volunteers, do it whatever you want to do. But make sure that the product should be valuable enough for each and everyone. The result should be satisfied with the customers, because who whosoever is going to use your product, they should be satisfied after using your product, right? So it means that UAT is basically ensuring the quality, because you are now, in terms of time, in terms of cost, in terms of each and every resources, you have to ensuring that thing, that okay, the quality of my product is best, and this should be shareable with each and everyone. So this is the last phase, and it comes after each and everything has been done. Then the real world people is going to use it. It means that the bugs is already been fixed, and the faults or the issues is already been completed, removed, right? So now the product is going to be released. So that is the meaning of UAT. That is the last phase. So UAT should be thorough and reflect what exactly the user requirement was in the initial phase. So that is the meaning of UAT, the user acceptance testing. It means that no bugs, no lack of clarity, no issues, nothing. those issues now going to be cost. If there are any bugs, then it means that these issues will cost you. These issues will potentially damage your software or product or your any process. So that means you have to fix them then and there. All right. Is there any kind of issues is or queries? Please do let me know, because that is what exactly UAT means, and that can be done with the help of people those who are in house, or that can be done with the help of any kind of paid softwares or anything. But that is ensuring you that okay, my product is being able to go live. So this is what exactly UAT means, and the purpose is basically to give an idea that okay, my product is useful for the real world, and it's been going to be go live without having any kind of bugs, or without having any kind of faults. So that is the main purpose of the UAT. That is done with the help of some kind of you know real kind of cases, you can say, or by any kind of researched data, you can say. So that can be done anything by using anything, right? So but that is the main purpose of the UAT. So we can say whosoever is going to be performing, the end user for sure at this particular time, but those are being satisfied in order to use it for a day-to-day use, right? So that is based on the users, that is based on the stakeholders. So that is the main thing about UAT. Who perform? End user perform the UAT. And what is the purpose? In order to get the bug free software or the product or the process, anything, right? And now coming into the uh, you know uh, in a scenario where you have to perform any kind of testing, there are many type of testing that I have not I believe I have not added into. Yeah. So there are let me tell you this thing, that there are n number of testing in terms of UAT, but there are many which are being needed in a day-to-day testing environment or software testing basically. So that means few are them which you can say a beta testing. That means that the end user who is going to evaluate your product is basically having some kind of purpose in their mind, and in order to provide that particular feedback to the developer, or you can say to the people those who are building this process, they having a particular purpose in their mind, and then they will provide the feedback. So in that particular beta testing, they provide that feedback for the improvement to the developers in order to evaluate your product. If they are coming with any kind of bugs, then they will provide that feedback to the developer. So that is what you can say a beta testing thing. And there are other things which I am black box, black box thing testing you so in the black box testing, basically what happened, like you do not have a full idea about the product, but based on the reliability, or you can say some specific thing in your mind. Let's suppose there are softwares which you needed to test. Based on those kind of specific criteria, you test that. Okay. So let's suppose you have a specific criteria that this button should be in the top. So that is the specific criteria, and then you are just testing that particular button only. So that means you are doing a single testing, right? You are might be not using other process for that particular product, but you are just testing a single specific area based on the particular criteria which you have set, or based on the specification which you have basically set. And one more regulation kind of testing, I believe, because I forget the name, but the thing is like that is the like the date rules and regulations, they should also meet. Because in terms of countries, in terms of companies, there are many different rules and regulations that has also been, you need to meet, your product should meet those kind of legal actions or rules or regulations, because those are also being tested. So that is what type of testing in terms of UAT. So your product should meet all those kind of testing thing. Your specific criteria should be met, your legal issues should be met, or ensure that those legal issues should meet basically. So this is what exactly UAT is all about. And there are various kind of testing involved in the UAT. All right. But often what happened that the people confused with the UAT and QA. So QA is basically a steps, or you can say a wide range of activities which is going to be involved while you are building a product. But UAT is basically focuses on the interaction, the how customer is going to interact with your product. So that is only about UAT, because they are going to use your product and they will interact you with your user interface. But in the QA, which is a process, this is not a end result. This is a process, this is a series of activities which has been helpful in order to build a particular product error free. So that is the UA, sorry, QA, quality assurance, right? And in the UAT, which has been done from the right one side, basically the end users, right? So that is a UAT. And even you can see in the screen that QA performed by testing team, and the UAT is basically done by the actual product users, right? So UAD has been a series, but UAD is basically done with the help of end users, but QA is basically a series of the activities, right? And we know that UAD has different name, like the end user testing, operational testing, application testing, beta testing. That is what I was talking about. So validation testing, and each and everything, whatever you name it, like the end result testing, the UAD has that. Because after this particular confirmation, the product will go live, the user will able to feel satisfied. So that is a different part, and QA is a different part. So do not get confused by quality assurance or the UAT. I hope it's clear.
Yes, it's clear.
All right, okay. Thank you so much. And it's been written that validation, let's talk about validation as well. So basically, there are two things in the quality assurance. There are two things which we needed to think about, or which we needed to look into. Basically, the first one is validation, and another one is verification. So verification is basically a process, or you can say uh, which refers in the testing environment that okay, the technicalities of this particular product is what exactly we needed, it's what exactly met with our criteria. So they verify those technical expertise or features, or technical aspects of that particular product, in order to get it satisfied that okay, these are the features which we needed. They verify those things. But validate, it's basically related to the requirement of what exactly the end user requirement are, whether they need this kind of product, or whether they need this kind of features from the beginning, or whether they are going to use it in their day to day life. So that kind of validation help to ensure make they this kind of validation ensure that okay, this is the requirement, that's why a particular developer has built this feature in their product. So that validation is basically a user acceptance testing, UAT. And in the verification only they will look into the technical aspects of the particular product. So these two things are different, the validation and verification. Verification is only verifying what exactly the features are. Validation is basically valid, whether this particular feature is being valid or not, whether this been required in the initial terms or not. Okay, so this is a part of just I remember from the last one, like the validation. So this is what exactly the validation and verification is all about. Now moving with the steps of UAT. So as we have talked about, like who is going to perform the UAT, like the people those who are going to have this particular product as an end result, the end users or the stakeholder, the client, they will going to perform this UAT, right? Or but how this particular UAT work, right? What are the basic steps involved in this particular UAT? So first, what exactly is there, like the plan in the are you able to see my screen? There is a okay.
Yes, we can see. Yes, steps
So
of UAT.
yeah, so basically in the plan, what exactly the plan is, like you have to make a plan or you have to outline a particular process which has a timeline, which has a requirement, and it's also include your strategies, how you going to perform the UAT, what are the requirements, and how much time this particular process is needed to be tested, and what are the basic features which we needed to test. So that kind of strategies, that kind of time frame, or those kind of resources, the requirement resources should be included in your plan. So you need to first outline all those things. Then you have to look for the real world, like what exactly the people are facing right now, what are the options available, what are the areas where we needed to test this particular product. So that kind of test scenarios should also cover the real world users, the possible outcomes of your product. And based on that, you know you make a team of your users, of your tester, those who will going to test your product with the help of more uh, trials, with the help of more iterations, with the help of some kind of paid softwares or anything, but they will going to test your product. And there are many participants, they will give more feedback to your product. So try to open up with each and everyone, those who are involved in the process. So try to make a testing team wider, but make sure that people, those who are really going to give a feedback, they should only include it, not XYZ. So because the end user is going to use your product, they might be a non-technical people, they might be having no understanding about your technologies or features, but at least they have a clear understanding. So that means that you should able to produce those kind of confidence in that particular person by testing it or by reiterating again and again with the help of your team, right? Then based on your team, you have to write each and everything in the test cases or test script, right? We will be talking about these things in the terminologies part for sure, but think about this as of now, like there are steps which you are going to perform while testing a product. Those should be written in a particular document, right? So that whatever you are clicking, whether it has any kind of bugs or issues, that can be fixed then and there. Or you can say a bug tracker, right? Because you are being creating the bugs intentionally, just to get an idea what kind be end result end result should be, if there are a person those who are going to use this kind of features, what kind be bugs there, right? So that kind of bug tracker should be there, which you can build intentionally, and note each and every bugs in your test document. Then once you have a completed with your test document, then you have to retest again, and then you have to update your code, or might be the developer should update the code, right, in order to resolve those bugs or any kind of suggestion which you have provided or the team provided, right? So those kind of adjustment will be done, and then once each and everything is been done, you are being able to sign the project off. You have to sign off the project that okay, my thing is been done, the product is successfully completed, the process is being completed. But there are definitely in the sign off, there are definitely challenges coming along. So in that kind of challenges, you should be able to aware about some terminologies. The terminologies will help you to give an understanding to the client as well, right? So the first one is the UAT, the test plan. So the test plan basically gives all the things like who will going to use our product, by whom the particular process will be tested, and how this particular product is going to be tested, what will be the tested result. All those information should be covering in the plan. And then in the plan itself, you should be able to give a you know idea about like the objective or the vision about the uh, uh, client, like what exactly the objective was. So in the plan you should also make sure that particular objective is being aligned with your plan. Then we have an entry criteria. Entry criteria is like, okay, till this particular timeline, till this particular stage, I will not include the client, I will not include the business analyst person, or I will not include the stakeholder. But after this, I will include them in order to get an idea about what exactly we needed. So that kind of conditions which you are building in the entry criteria should be helpful for you to understand what exactly I needed in order to get an successful product. Or you can say, in order to get an idea that okay, this particular product is being ready to test. So that is the entry criteria, the starting conditions basically. Then in the starting we have a condition, else we have a acceptance criteria, or you can say the exit criteria as well, which means that these should be matched, right? Because basically what happened in the test scenarios, which is should be a simple, that means that a particular person should be able to perform that from the basic steps, like the entry till the end. Think about the Amazon case. You have your product in your cart, then from where I have to click in order to get into the cart, and then where I have to click in order to reach out to the payment process. Then after, if I click on the payment, will what exactly screen I will get. So those kind of criterias which are there, those kind of process which has been seen simple enough to understand, this should be your criteria, this should be thing in your mind, that okay, these are the steps which is should be followed by the end customers. So these things is written in the test script. So the test script is basically a sequence or a specific step in order to ensure that particular person will click on a particular OK button, cancel button, payment button, or anything. So that means if someone has been clicking on certain thing, then what will be the page pop up comes up, right? Or what will be the page will comes up. So those kind of test script, which is a sequence of your specific steps, should be written. Then we have our test cases. In the test cases, which are uh, uh, real case, you can say, or real understanding. Let's suppose, which we have just discussed, the Amazon case. So let's suppose you have to open the Amazon site, website. So what do you do? Whether you can open it from the mobile application, whether you can go to the website portal, right? So that means you have to first open that particular website or application, then search for any kind of product. Then if you liked it, you add it on your shopping cart. Once it's been into the shopping cart, then it means that you are now going to pay for it. So that means that third step will be the payment process. That means that you are should be authenticating your bank to give the payment to your seller or the Amazon party, right? Then you will proceed to the shopping cart, to the to the payment process, where you give your UPI number, then XYZ number, right? 123 number. Then this number, by giving this particular number, the payment has been completed, and then you will receive the particular email confirmation or the payment receipt in your message. So that means these kind of cases, the real time of cases, should be in your mind while building your product. So eh, those cases is what we called as a test cases, because this gives a clear understanding about how this product will perform after this particular product is going to be used by the end customers. The a user should have a clear understanding about your product, and even from the starting phase till the ending phase, they will be able to use your product fruitfully. So that is what UAT, sorry test cases is all about, right? So even there are few terminologies as well which we can look into, but based on those kind of test cases, based on these test script, we might be build those kind of things, but somehow we will be able to not able to give clear understanding to the end users, because they might not getting they might be facing any kind of hurdles, and they will be say that okay, the product is not performing well. So the end user will not always be happy after using our product. So there might be some kind of challenges, right? So in terms of challenges, we have few challenges list out. So it means that if you have poor planning, right, that means that you have not given sufficient time to include your UAT, right, to schedule your UAT. Because if you are not been scheduling your UAT, that means that the end result will not going to be satisfied, because the end user is not have a full confidence while using your product, right? So in my previous organization, I have been talking about the feedback form. They comes up at the last moment, and based on their product, I was not feel confident that I can use that feedback form application in my event. Then I said that no, okay, I will not use your product for the event, but for the future purpose I can take it. But there is a loss, there is a significant loss which I have been facing because of you, because you delayed the scheduled UAT. So that means the planning was poor, the planning of the product delivery was poor, right? And it hindered the end result, the result was incompleted, right? So you should not be able to get into that trouble, because that planning should be proper, should not be poor. Okay, again, if you have a wrong testing environment, that means that you are using it on the wrong platform. The functionalities of your product is been testing on a different UAT or a different testing environment. That means that you are having a no understanding or lack of understanding about the real scenarios, about the real world. So ensure that the and testing environment should be clear, should be aligned with the real environment, should be aligned with the real requirements. Okay. Then we have inappropriate testing selection, or you can say a tool which we have which we have to test. That a tool is being inappropriate in order to test the product, right? So the testing tool should be satisfied. The testing result should be met with the testing process, right? So it means that whatever the groups, whatever the clients which we are dealing with, they are the end results. They will going to be get the end results, and they are the main target people for your product. So ensure that the tool which you are going to use that particular product in order to test it, that should be appropriate. This should not be having any kind of bugs. If you have to test a product, then you do not have to look for any process testing tool. You should be using a software for testing a particular product, right? So that means you have to be make sure that the appropriate tester should be there. Then lack of training, that the case which I just discussed, the feedback form case, it means that I was not confident enough to get that particular feedback application in my event because I was not trained enough. My people, those who are going to use that particular feedback form application, was not trained well, because they were not even having a slight understanding about how this particular application will work, right? So that means if you are not well trained about the end product, that that won't be effective. The product won't be effective. So that means you should able to have a full understanding about the product. You should have been trained enough in order to use the product. Then there are another issues: lack of communication, or you can say inefficient communication. The communication, like each and everything should be cleared with the client, with the team involved. There should not be any kind of misunderstandings, or there should not be any kind of gap or delays or anything. So these things should be and avoid while building any kind of product or process, right? So there are things in the first phase, like you have to analyze the product, right? Then you have to provide some kind of technical documents to the end users, and you should be doing in the time frame, right? So it means that each and everything should be clear in each and every stages. The communication from both the end should be clear, should be able to understand by even a non-technical person as well, because you are dealing in a timely manner. So that means if the time frame has been exceeded, and you are just because of some kind of miscommunication or delays, your product is going to be failed, because you are might be recruiting some people while performing a UAT, right? So that means the people should be able to have a clear understanding about the product, or about the communication, about the process, each and everything. Then we have in order to avoid these kind of challenges, we might have a best practices. So what exactly the best practices tells you? That okay, you are collecting an information from the basic, from the requirement, right? And even based on your collected information, you are fixing some kind of bugs and retesting it. And then based on the testing or iteration, you are signing off the UAT. But there are different team members involved in your team, which are going to be performing, and based on their ideas, based on their experiences, they are doing their work. So there might be senior person involved in your UAT team, there might be junior person involved. So they have might be some kind of checklist in their hand, but those kind of checklists is helpful for each and everyone. So those checklists are basically a best practice thing, right? So you have to verify those things from the initial, right? You need to verify your document with each and every one those who are involved, and they are ready for testing, right? Then you have to identify your stakeholders, that okay, these are the stakeholders, these I have to take care of, and they are going to responsible for end result. And then based on your best practices or checklist, you move forward with the planning, because you have to plan your UAT, right? First you initiate your UAT with the help of some kind of checklist, then you have to plan your UAT with the proper communication, with proper documentations, with proper exit or entry criteria, with proper procedures, right? And based on your standards, based on rules and regulations, based on legalities, each and everything, based on your tools, based on your server, based on your feedback, each and everything you plan your UAT, right? In the planning you provide some kind of logins even to the client, right? So then based on your planning you execute those planning, you create some kind of test summaries which we have just discussed, right? So there are some best practices, and in this best practices you first gather the information. The correct data should be collected, and it might be including the test results, it might be including the feedbacks, but the correct data should be included, must be included. Then those information, you need to properly identify the stakeholder or the target audience or the customers, because you are aware about who is going to use your product, right? So based on that particular target audience, you should be able to give the proper understanding about the process. Then there should not be a project creep. The project scope should be completed within a time frame, because you are being completing in each and every stages within the timeline, right? So there should be full understanding about the project scope. And then you have to design. Well, we have been talking about the design part, the process mapping. So each and everything should be visualized to the end customers, right? And the test cases which we have just talked about should be real time test cases, should be based on the real scenarios, and they specify each and every procedure based on how a end result will be, right? And then we have our objective, the confirmation based on the objective, that okay, the requirement is being fulfilled, and the end result is being satisfied. There should not be lack of training, there should not be confusion related to the communication gap. Each and everything should not be there. So these are the basic best practices in order to avoid those challenges, right? So there might be n number of challenges you are facing. Might be you are using any different tools, but with the help of these practices you can avoid those challenges, because these best practices help you to design a better process, to design a particular process in order to meet the specific requirement for a product or for a business person or for a stakeholder, right? So with this I believe we have completed all the areas about business analyst, because the UAT was the last segment, and these are the things which we will be looking forward, the webinar which we have completed. Now we have assignments. So what we have taught you, we will be looking forward to give some kind of assignments. And if you have any kind of doubts, for sure please do let me know. We can have a doubt session on Saturday, and I will be sharing one Google form in which you can write your questions and come up with some queries related to the program, related to the job roles, anything, whatever the doubt you have, any segment. If you want me to cover another part. If you have any kind of suggestions, opinions, anything, please come up with that in the Google form itself. And if you need any kind of personal mentorship, please do reach out to me. If you need any kind of interview guidance, then please reach out to me. Again, we will be going with the use cases for the hands on. So be ready with this. We will be covering all those things in Saturday. So by 20th to basically 22nd, we will be wrapping up with the QA. We will be wrapping up with the BA. We will be wrapping up each and everything. So the QA is like the not quality assurance. It's a question and answer. So with the question and answer, we will be wrapping up with this certification course. So from 1st July to 22nd July, it's almost a month, and more than a month. We have been talking about each and everything related to the BA program, and in this particular program, we have been ensuring that after this particular course, a person can fight for the exam. A person will not be feel lack of understanding about BA. They Because we have covered almost each and everything, whatever we needed in the 100 slides. In this 100 slides, each and everything is being completed related to the BA, which has been specific for the Salesforce program. So with this, I will be wrapping up this today's session and the QA session. Is there any doubt? Please do let me know.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Raman. Yeah, it was clear.
Thank you so much.